All right, guys. So I want to talk about some of the upside and some of the good things that we have seen from this preseason and training camp. And here to do that with me, somebody that you will hear on 92.3. And also, you won't hear him during the games, but, just know he's there, right? During the Browns broadcast. Mac, how you doing, man?
Q, I'm good, man. I'm good. Ready for the regular season to get going. Enjoying this little this little abbreviated time off in between, but I'm enjoying it. Ready for the season to get started.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what I want to do today is kind of highlight the good stories in training camp, right? The fun stories. I think the joy, because there's been a lot of fun stuff. I think
Hmm.
that's happened, right? Aiden Huntington's a big one, right? Him making a team and having the camp that he had. I think Dylan looking as good as he has been a surprise for most people. We'll start with Dylan here, right? I don't know what it's going to look like when the real games happen
Hmm.
because that's always a big question when somebody looks good in the preseason, what's going to look like in the real games. But the way he's looked good is not like, oh, this is preseason sugar water, right? He's making tight. And when I say preseason sugar water, for those you don't know, it's like, oh, he's making a lot of tight window throws or he's off schedule playmaking a lot, right? Like that stuff that's not really replicatable when you play better teams because you're not going to get coverage bust or the coverage is going to be tighter, right? So when you see that kind of stuff, I don't really get excited about it. When I see somebody get into their fourth progression under pressure, finding the passing lane, going to dig, I'm like, oh, hold on now, that's football, right? Like, uh, and I think the big thing for Dylan, right, is people kept saying this, and it sounded silly at the start. He's got everything he needs up here. He's just small, and he's really small, right? Shout out to the guy in my chat who called him Hawaii 5'9". But the
I
big
like that.
question for the big question for Dylan is like, okay, can you do things to make your life easier at quarterback so that doesn't matter as much? And the big question we had coming into this was like, hey, this felt like Kevin wanting this guy, right? And you can see Dylan, coaches love him, right? Dan Lanning, I think he did an episode of Cleveland Browns Daily just to talk about how much he loves Dylan Gabriel. An offensive coordinator was out doing interviews in the Cleveland media. Talk about how much he loves Dylan Gabriel. Like, this is somebody whose coaches, everywhere he's gone, high profile coaches too, speak very highly of him. And I can see that being attracted to a coach. But I will say this, right? When they drafted him, I was a little scratching my head. After this preseason, I understand the selection. I don't know if
Yeah.
it'll turn out to be a good selection, but I can't sit here and say, I don't get why they did this. Like I
Yeah.
did with like Siaki Ika. And like at no point was I like, yeah, man, I understand the selection. It was always, what were we thinking here, right? This one here, okay, I get the thought process now. You have demonstrated enough to make me understand that they saw something in pre-draft workouts that they think could work. We'll see if it does, but I no longer look at that as perplexing. How about you?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I definitely overreacted to the pick. Obviously, it was a shocking one at that, but I remember being, working in the studio behind the scenes during the draft coverage, and that one definitely for me just caught me by complete surprise. But at the same time, seeing the way that he's played and really seeing the way that he's been able to, not only play well, but I also want to give credit to the fact that like he's taking those lessons and he's learning week after week. Obviously you had the pick six against Philadelphia. This past week, you had a similar play where, he was looking towards the outside. There was a lot of coverage there. He just throws it out of bounds. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're seeing him learn from his mistakes and continue to move forward. And the other part that I think really stands out, especially as well, is the fact that, obviously, you see guys that are smaller quarterbacks and everybody just assumes, oh, smaller arm, or, it takes a little bit more. But I will say from getting a chance to even see him in minicamp, back in May, like, and seeing all four of the quarterbacks. Obviously, Joe's arm is in a league of its own. It still holds up to this day. But seeing among the other three quarterbacks, it was clear that Dylan had the biggest heater of a fastball out of all of the other three quarterbacks, with Kenny clearly a much slower fastball of the three. But, you can understand the thought process behind it And also too, you can see how Dylan can have success, and
Hmm.
see in the game plan. And I know there were people that were upset at why at some of the play calling originally in Philadelphia, and why is he getting so many passing calls early. What I appreciate was the fact that he's somebody that you got to get him into a bit of a rhythm, and then all of a sudden he's able to go ahead and make those easy routine plays once he gets into that rhythm. And
What
so
what also has been most impressive with Dylan, I thought, has been that third and long work, or that and long work, right? So second and
yeah.
long, first, third and long. I think he's done his most impressive stuff there, and I think that's what because we all knew Dylan, if you get him ahead of sticks, right? He's gonna do the game manager stuff, the Case Keenum count, right? Okay, he could do it to check down, check down, check down, run the ball. If you do that, I think what's been very encouraging and why I'm like, okay, I'm now at the point to where I'm letting go of my pre-draft evaluation and saying, I guess it was worth whatever you want to take it with at this point, is that third and long work where it's like he's consistently converting in these and long situations. He gets the 2nd and 10, he converts. That's difficult to do. I don't care
Yeah.
what quarter of a preseason game you're in, who you're playing with, what starters are there. That's really difficult to do. And that's something he's done really well in cloudy pockets, right? This isn't like he's getting the 2020 Baker Mayfield offensive line and he's getting all day to see it. He's seeing it quickly. He's climbing. He's looking through traffic. Somebody brought this up to me and they were like, maybe Dylan's life will be easier in regular games versus practice because his height will actually kind of help him a little bit, or his lack of height, because he's so much harder to find in the pocket if you're a defensive player, right? If you're a defensive
Okay.
lineman, like kind of like how certain running backs, you don't want them too big.
Mhm.
And like in a practice where he's wearing the red no contact jersey, he's a lot easier to spot, right?
Mhm.
So he can climb, and it's not like guys are like not seeing him when he's there, but it's like it's harder to landmark, right? To get to where you want to in your rush if the guy operates the pocket cleanly. So all of that, I thought Dylan has done a great job with.
Yeah, and I will even say too, like you can see a path to success for an NFL career for him too. Like that's the one thing that I even look at where going in, obviously, the practice talk, everything like that everybody was having, that was one thing, but to me, I think that you can firmly say like, look, even if he's not your franchise guy, even if he isn't like a full blown starter level, I can see him having a long career even as a backup. Like
Mm-hmm.
worst case scenario, I see him having a Colt McCoy level career where it's just like hey, he'll be sticking around in the league for another decade and being able to go ahead and just stick around as a backup going from team to team. Like I can see that for him in his career. Like and being able to have that success because of what you've seen so far. That's at least where I'm at with him. So I feel like the floor has kind of been raised up a little bit, and I understand why the Browns did what they did, where they took him.
I'll
And
even say this. I think the ceiling has been raised a little bit. You
okay.
know, like I think the arm strength's better than I thought.
Mm,
The ability to maneuver a pocket, that was a big question because like he didn't really have to do that at Oregon, right?
yeah.
He could just stay 5 steps deep, look over the line that way, and be fine. Which is like that's part of why I thought Baker had so much issues early in his career trying to maneuver a pocket, right? Because that's what they asked him to do at Oklahoma. Um, no, I think he's managed the pocket really well. The third and long stuff, the arm strength, the ball being able to carry, him being able to drive out, like that's a
Hmm.
big deal for him. And I don't know how much higher I'm pushing the upside, but I do think that there's a possibility. I'm not saying it's probable, by the way, everybody, but I do think that there is a possibility that you could get, low level starter out of him, right? I don't think the ceiling is necessarily pure backup, right? I think that there might
Yeah.
be the possibility there. I think it's looking like backup is the most likely scenario for him to end up. But, maybe this could be, I don't want to say a Brock Purdy thing because I think Brock Purdy is a little underrated because people just kind of use him as the bad quarterback default. But I think this could be, if we go back to like a Matt Schwab type quarterback, right? Like somebody who could hold it down for maybe a couple of years.
Hmm.
Not going to get like a giant extension or anything like that, but you could say, hey, this guy's fine starting while, if you draft somebody next year, you play Dylan for like a year, and then give Dylan nice little 1.5 year, maybe even 2 years, play the rookie eventually, and then move on from there. But I think he has the potential to be a transitional starter in the league.
I can
And
I can
yeah,
see that too.
and I didn't think that was possible before. So
Yeah,
hats off to him, right? This is
for
what
sure.
you want to see the football for, right? Because just because we got opinions don't mean they're right, right? Like, I have opinions about if the Browns are going to win every week. Doesn't mean I'm right, right? Like, that's what you play the games for,
Well, and even the evaluation process too. Like, I want to be wrong. I want these guys
Mm-hmm.
to be successful. Like, if I don't think that you will be, like, that's one thing. But also, like, if you prove me wrong, like, you prove me wrong. And again, for somebody like Dylan, like, I'm very happy, at least that to this point, it seems like he's really established that, at least in my eyes, I think that there's a path to success for him, in the league for some time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's talk about the other story. I think that's been pretty nice to see throughout camp. Aiden Huntington.
Yeah.
I mean, guy comes in, UDFA, unceremonious, right? Slap the number 66 on him, right? Dude's had a hell of a camp. Look, when the team tells you, when they have no obligation, when the coach tells you, I asked Andrew Berry if I could announce this. Understand what that means. That dude made the team weeks ago. Okay?
Yeah.
I would argue when they were accepting calls about Javon Briggs, he made the team.
I agree. I was gonna say the second that Briggs deal went down, I'm like, okay, so Huntington made it. Perfect.
Hunting's on the team. Like, he's definitely on the team. And I know people are like, oh, those are two different types of players. Here's the thing about Jim Schwartz's system I don't think people get. Would it be nice to have a one tech? Sure. Does Jim Schwartz care about that at all? No. He got Mason Graham in here, told him to lose 10 pounds. Right? He drafted Siaki Ika and told him he needs to become a Ferrari. This man has no interest in a zero tech.
Yeah.
I'm telling you this now. If you think about the system, right, the wide nine, you're giving up rush lanes and trusting your linebackers. He don't care about these zero techs, right? He wants 3 techs that are going to get north, who are going to be attacking and violent, right? Whenever he talks about Mason Graham, he's always raving about the violence, right? Like, yeah, he's violent. He's getting upfield. He's attacking downfield.
Yeah, we're back.
Jim Schwartz is always talking about his 3 techs being pass rushers, right?
Yeah.
So he's looking at Javon Briggs. He's like, well, this guy doesn't pass rush like Aiden Huntington, right?
Yeah.
And Aiden's been a monster there. And then, I mean, like, if you didn't think he made the roster beforehand, when you saw him tackle eligible, fullback.
Oh, God.
Yeah. There's something there. There's something there. I was joking. I'm like, I got to tell JP about this guy, a 3 tech who could pass rush, play fullback, and he's the best special teams player his team's got.
And that was the thing that like jumped out to me was like I had seen this dude, like the fact that I'm seeing this dude, like I'm watching him on punt coverage, and I'm seeing this dude like lay out players left and right, and then on top of that, again, special player at DT. And the second that I saw them put him out there, I think on the first or second play of that game against the Rams, just to let everybody that's watching know we have this in our bag. Like, and
just
especially when they don't put anything out there and they're just like, no, this dude is in our back pocket. I want y'all to game plan for that. Like, okay, fine. Like, and I kept on bringing up too, and I joked around with some of the guys in the booth afterward too. I was like, he ran a faster 40-yard dash than Jarvis Landry. Like,
yeah,
that, like, you got to put that into perspective. Like, especially for a D tackle like that, and especially, you talk about Jim Schwartz. For Jim Schwartz, it's all about like rotation and bringing different guys in, keeping everybody fresh. So now with Mike Hall, I'm even just saying Mike Hall is on the pup list for right now, so I'm not even going to put Mike Hall. Just at DT, you have Mason Graham, who's looked great. You have Malik Collins, you have Shelby Harris, and now you have Aiden Huntington. Aiden Huntington's your 3 or 4 DT. Not to mention all of the edge rushers that you have that also have the mix that you can
And
put
you
in
can,
at DT.
yeah, I was about to say you could, because Alex Wright could do 3T. And
Yep.
I think this is one of those things. And look, this is me calling the shot here. I don't know if it's going to happen, but
Yeah.
if my gears are turning the way that like Jim Schwartz's gears are turning, you're going to see them play with Alex Wright. You're going to see them use that to bring Aiden Huntington. Probably, I wonder how wide they're comfortable pulling him in that alignment chart, because they haven't shown it, right? And I think there's a reason they haven't shown it, because they want to use it, because the 40 time, the athleticism. There's really no reason to expect that he can't be out wide, right? Like at the wide 9, right? So I would be surprised if they bring in a super off balance formation defensively, if they're expecting like a pass rush and they're going to attack like the right side of Cincinnati's line, and they want like Alex Wright on that 4I, or maybe you could put them at 3T if you really wanted to, but I don't think you're really worried about the run threat week 1 from Cincinnati. So you could put Alex Wright 4I, probably sit Miles at the 5, and then put Aiden like wide at the 9 in case there's a tight end, and then just kind of just shoot straight at that corner to try to force something out right. I think that's something that they could try to do there. I wonder how much of Joe Tryon-Shoyinka's job ends up going to Aiden Huntington, because I see him out there and it's like, hey, this guy's really explosive, one rip kind of thing. And it's like, well, if you need to bring in somebody that you feel really confident to get a pressure, right? I feel like he might be the guy, especially if you got something at the guard. Like, when they do that double mug thing, but they like to bring edges at the mug, right? I wonder if they're going to stand up Aiden with Miles in that situation, right? Where they like to have Miles walk up the A-gap to scare the center, and the center's scared to death of Miles, and you have Miles just like, you have Miles, oh my God, Mason Graham, right? And then Miles, instead of shooting at the A-gap, he stunts towards like his B-gap, and you have Aiden cut through the A. Right there, right? Like,
and again, we haven't even talked about Mike Hall. Like,
Mike Hall's there too. There's a lot of stuff that Jim's going to do, and they've been able to run some successful sim pressures during preseason that I think they feel really good about.
Well, and on top of that too, to even add on to that point, there's been a few times in preseason, they haven't done it all the time, but they've done it a few times where they brought out 5D linemen, like. And you can have like Mason in the middle, and you can go ahead and have, Aiden on the left or right. Like
Mason in the middle is nuts, man.
Yeah. Like it's wild. You
could put legitimately, and this is a terrifying thought if you're a center.
Yeah.
They could bring Miles in and put him at the 1.
Yeah.
And just stand him up.
And you have the depth along the D line to go ahead, and even if you, again, Miles at the 1, you have Mason lined up on one side, you have Mike Hall on the other, Aiden Huntington on the edge.
And it's not like you don't have to think about Isaiah McGuire if he gets a 1-on-1. He's been really good.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
You can have Alex Wright on the opposite, just in case. Like, well, I would probably want Alex to be where I put Isaiah to be, and I'm just moving pieces in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have Isaiah kind of be backside because he's a much better run defender. But then you have Carson Schlesinger you can use into this equation.
I still haven't even mentioned
Devin
Malik
Bush,
Collins.
if he doesn't get suspended, is going to be Malik Collins, who got a sack, I think, on Saturday's game. So, yeah, this defensive line, we knew it was going to be good. My question was like, hey, man, like, it's a lot on young defensive tackles. And that's a position that takes a little while, right? Linemen usually take a little while to adjust. How ready are these guys going to be? Aiden, I think, can get a pressure in an NFL game in the right situation. Mason, it seems like there is no concern from them. And everybody on the team is like, no, we're not concerned about Mason. Philly seemed to be very impressed with them. So, yeah, it seems like they're going to be able to look really good week 1. And think about this. they've looked good in the preseason. They look good against the Eagles in joint practice. Now, when they were in joint practice with the Eagles, they got Myles Garrett. But understand, that's not the full Myles Garrett they're getting. Right?
Yeah.
Like in practice,
Yeah.
you get like 50% Myles Garrett, right? Like he's gonna go in there, beat Jordan Maeva a couple times. Apparently, it was very easy for him, and like, he's gonna call it a day, right?
Yeah.
He's not gonna whip you all day, like he would try to in a game. So we get Myles Garrett out there, and his defensive line's already looking pretty good. I mean, like it could be disgusting because also we haven't talked about this. This has been shockingly underreported. Hey man, I went to camp and Myles looks better.
Yeah.
The best defensive player in the universe looks like he's improved. Nobody's talked about it yet. I think we'll talk about it during the season if he looks how I think he's going to look. But yeah, this defensive line is filthy right now. And this front seven, if they can stay healthy and out of trouble, I think Devin Bush has really made some strides. Like if he gets suspended, I think that's going to be an issue for the Browns. But if he doesn't, I think he's going to be able to carry over a lot of positive momentum from this training camp preseason. He seems like he's really clicking with what the Browns are doing here. And I trust Jason Tarver to figure out whatever that third situation has to be. Mahmoud Diabate, whoever it has to be. I think they can figure that out. And you look at that front seven, and you're like, yeah, this is pretty solid, and it's young. And you're got most of it under contract for an extra couple of years, so you're not worried about it going. And I look at his defensive line just like you, and I think to myself, this might be good enough to win you some games in the regular season.
Well, and even like combining that defensive line with what we've seen, and you mentioned him briefly too, but like what we've seen from Carson Schlesinger, I'm like, okay, the way that dude just plays and is able to just shoot gaps, able to blow up plays left and right, and also able to drop back into coverage, I'm like, okay, nailed it. Like when it comes to drafting some of the, or at least drafting linebackers in the second round, AV nails it every time. Doesn't matter, 100% hit rate between him and JOK.
Yeah.
I will fully trust you on that, because between like with the way that he plays, and especially like the way that he plays off of, and like you mentioned with the wide nine, like playing those gaps, like leaving some of those gaps open so that the linebackers can take care of that. I fully 100% am cool with Carson Schlesinger being the janitor that cleans up all those run gaps. Like with the way that he's able to seek out the ball and able to find that every single time, fully trust that dude. And the way that he's going to be able to play off that, I think is going to be fantastic. And really, I think is where obviously there are questions with the secondary, but I think that the strength of the defense being up front, I think will not mask those issues, not fully mask, because I don't think you can get away with that at all. But at the same time, I think that it will kind of help remedy some of those issues that you have in the back end.
Yeah, and I think also, the way the wide nine works is, you'll give up a 5-yard rush pretty often, right, on the wide nine. But you're aiming to get that TFL, right? That sack, that TFL. And once you get that TFL, you can start chewing up an offensive line. You saw it in that Rams game where there was a couple of times where they got a little run. People are like, oh my God, he gave up 5 yards on a run. No, we're not trying to stuff you on every run. We're not running a 3-4 out the nose tech, everything out here, like to try to like make sure you don't get a yard and keep you at 3rd and 10. They're like, oh no, you can get a couple of yards here, but you're going to pass eventually. We're going to get to you, right? Or you're going to run something long developing because you need a big chunk play, and we're going to get you that way, right? It's about the negative plays in Jim Schwartz's system. That's what keeps this whole thing afloat. If you can't get negative plays, and this is why I'm slightly concerned about the secondary, we won't really touch on it in this video, because if they can constantly get positive plays from attacking the Browns secondary quickly, that's a problem, right? Because then you're not getting those opportunities. But if you are getting those opportunities to create negative plays behind the line of scrimmage, put teams behind the sticks, nobody wants to see Myles Garrett 2nd and 17.
No.
Nobody wants that. No, nobody loves that.
The one play that jumped out to me, and I saw it highlighted on social media, and it really got me even more excited for week 1, especially against Cincinnati. It was the Grant Delpit blitz where he dropped Malik Collins back into coverage. And so everybody's worried about a blitz. It's still just a 4-man rush. and he's still just rushing 4. He just brought it from Grant instead, and Malik's covering the middle. And I'm like, oh my God, I wonder if this guy's blitz is coming in.
Oh yeah,
Like,
well, yeah, the sim pressure stuff, right?
yeah,
And the thing is like, okay, it might not be Malik Collins, but you could do that with Aiden Huntington out there, right? Disguise him, drop him back, and he's gonna be a bit more usable in coverage, hopefully, than Malik Collins. But that's why people ask these questions. Why they don't want certain body types? That's why they want the more slender athlete there, because they want to be able to do stuff like that, and still be able to rush Miles, right? like you could drop Miles back into coverage, and he would be better at it than Malik Collins. But you know what? Also, Myles Garrett would be better at than Malik Collins, rushing the quarterback, right? Like there is nothing he does better than that. So you would always want him to be on that. But yeah, like just different ways of using a guy or being able to surprise teams. I think this Aiden Huntington thing, the way the story broke, it tells you not only is he gonna get a starting job, he's on the active 48.
Oh
right?
yeah,
Like that screams active game day, and I imagine there's a role for him. Mm-hmm. I think they view him like a draft pick at this point, the same way that they're kind of viewing Isaiah Bond as a draft pick, right? Where it's like, no, we got plays for him, right? We're probably gonna run the Travis Benjamin play for him, right? The boot naked, throw the post the opposite way, you know. That do you imagine that with Joe Flacco? Because you could do that with Joe Flacco.
God,
like,
dude, I'm already salivating at the Bengals secondary. And just being able to run that in week 1 in the home crowd, being able to just dump that right down, that's gonna be absolute perfection.
Because let's say Jerome Ford gets a couple 10-yard toss sweeps, on that drive, you call that and then you let Joe Flacco landmark opposite hash, you know he could throw it.
Yeah,
and just put everything on it on a little deep post and just have Isaiah Bond run underneath it. They're 100%. I'm calling it right now. They're calling that play week 1. And if you don't know what it is, search up Johnny Manziel's best highlight in the NFL, right? It was a similar kind of post.
I remember the exact week and exact season. It was
Brian Orakpo got to him. He rolled around. He actually rolled to the wrong side because he ended up being on the same side as that slant. You actually want him to be rolling opposite of it so he can plant and then throw so you get that safety there, beat him with the ball. I think they'll actually run that version of it. I think Johnny was, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Johnny rolled with the slant, right? Well, with the post.
Yeah, he did.
But, yeah, it wasn't supposed to happen that way.
It was Johnny. Johnny. That's to be expected.
Well, and also he doesn't have the arm, right? So, but the ideal is okay, boot away from it. You run a bunch of stuff underneath it, and the idea is hey, if there's space, run. You're Joe Flacco, you're not running. If it's there, take it. It's basically a flea flicker trick play. And by the way, that's going to be there. They're going to do the flea flicker, and they're going to throw it to Isaiah Bond. I don't know if it's going to be successful, but you telling me, things get a little shaky the third, you're not calling flea flicker post? See what
Honestly,
happens?
God, I could see him pulling that early.
Yeah, the first
play
of the game.
Get under it, trying to get ahead of it.
I think they did something similar with Anthony Schwartz against the Chiefs his rookie year.
Yeah, no, they did. I think that was on the first drive, if I remember right, against Kansas City.
Yeah, so they're going to do something with Isaiah Bond, but in that same vein, I think they have similar plans with Aiden Huntington that we will see once the season starts. I mean, they gave us a little sneak peek, right? They played him a little bit at fullback. That was interesting. But we'll see more. But those are our favorite stories. Is there another story you want to talk about that happened in camp?
I really quickly wanted to highlight somebody that I think has gotten ever since the signing of Isaiah Bond has gotten a little gone under the radar a little bit. Jamari Thrash has looked fantastic throughout this preseason and really has made that jump. Again, he has day in, day out been that guy, especially too between all of the quarterbacks. He's had plays with Shador in the game against Carolina. He's had plays against the Eagles with Dylan and against Rams with Dylan. Also with Joe. All quarterbacks have looked at him as a solid option. I think he's somebody that also has a role in that wide receiver room, especially. I know, especially early on, as Isaiah Bond's kind of getting, caught up to with everything like that, coming into camp late, obviously. I think that he's somebody who I think could have a nice role early, and could be somebody that, that could be a bit of a safety blanket, especially while everybody focuses on Jerry Jeudy, focuses on Cedric Tillman. I think he can be somebody that can be a bit of a reliable option for this offense.
All right, Mac, thank you for coming on. Where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Mac Robinson95, also on Blue Sky, just at Mac Robinson. And, Monday through Fridays, usually, I'm going to be on Afternoon Drive producing behind the scenes there, 2 to 7 on 92.3 The Fan. And also on game days, I'm producing in the back there as the audio engineer for all of the Browns game days. So you guys can also listen on there.
Are you guys bringing back those videos of when there's big plays? They show like the radio booth.
Hey, I hope so, man. I hope so. I'm hoping that, hey, maybe that Isaiah Bond that you bring up, if that play happens week 1, keep an eye out. If you see those, I am in the back.
Specific touchdown celebration when it happens. Like I want a cue thrown in there. I want something. I want something specific, because I know if that happens, you're gonna be thinking, "Oh my God."
I will say I do initially I throw up like a little bit of I'll be excited. I'll let that out for real.
Yeah, but you got to get the sound.
And then I'm like right back at it. I'm like, all right, got to get the level right. Got to make sure we're not going too loud.
No, yeah, you got to get to the next play. You know what I mean? Who knows? You might be throwing to a sideline. You got to prepare those mics. Make sure the batteries are dead.
I always stay ready. Always stay ready.
No, there's no rest for the audio guy. The audio guy has the worst job. There's no rest, especially on a radio broadcast.
Yeah, we do. We throw it down to the sideline quite a bit. It is so entertaining, though. The guys are fantastic.
Absolutely.
We'll be keeping you entertained every Sunday, at least. So make sure you stay tuned across the Browns radio network for that.
Definitely looking forward to it, man. I got nothing but respect for audio guys, because I remember when I was in college and they were picking out things. You could technical direct. You could be the producer on a segment. And I'm like, producing sounds like my jam, right? But working that audio board, I was like, I'm good. I have no interest at any of that. All them knobs, all them buttons. Oh, I'm good. Somebody can do that for me. Do you want to? I will produce an A+ segment for us, guys. You just got to make it sound good. Okay. There was always a spot for an audio guy on my group projects in college when I was learning all that stuff, because I was not doing it. I didn't even know how to there's like a specific way you got to wrap the XLR cable.
Oh yeah.
I would be like, yeah,
I've learned
got
it.
that.
I've learned it.
I've
seen it done right, and I have seen it done wrong.
Yeah, they always pointed out, I'm like, I'm just not touching it, dog. Like, I'm not going to get yelled at by the audio engineer at school, because I didn't wrap XLR cable correctly. So yeah, nothing but respect for our audio engineers out there. By the way, I know there's audio engineers that watch this show. They be complaining anytime about my peaks on this show. They were like, oh my God. Yeah. He normalize it.
That's why I literally I handle all my stuff on the back end, all that stuff. I go through all the bells and whistles, make sure my stuff sounds crisp. I try to do my best.
I just listen to somebody who seems to know what they're talking about, and I put those presets in, and I'm good.
I got you.
But everybody have a great day. Have a better night. Peace.